is our faith and our confidence, our Father, that thou dost not become weary, because always before thee we present the same sorry spectacle. It is our trust that thou dost not get tired of us, but that always thou dost remain constant, even with all the things in us that fluctuate, that thou dost remain true even when we take refuge in falsehood and error, that thou dost remain kind and gracious when our hearts are hard and callous, that thy scrutiny and thy judgment holds, despite all of our whimpering and self-pity and shame. And it is so good to have this kind of assurance and to know that as we move into the days and the hours that are still left to us, that we are not alone, but that we are not only comforted but straightened by thy brooding presence. We would ask forgiveness for our sins, but for so much that is sinful in us, we have no awareness. We would seek to offer to thee the salutation of our spirits and our minds, if we can tear ourselves away from the preoccupation with our own concerns and our own anxieties and our own little lives and their meaning. We would give to thee the nerve center of our consents. If for one swirling moment we could trust thee to do with us what our lives can stand, O God, our Father, take all this chaos and confusion and disorder of our minds and spirits and hold them so completely in thy grasp that the impure thing will become pure and the crooked thing straight, and the crass and hard thing tender and gentle with thy Spirit. And beyond this, We have no strength to see and no vision to comprehend. But we trust thy trust and abide. O God, we abide. Continuing our series on the quest of the human spirit, this morning we are thinking together about the quest for integrity. I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down labyrinthine ways of my own mind, and in the midst of tears I hid from him, and under running laughter, up vistaed hopes I sped, and shot precipitated adown titanic glooms of chasmed fears, from those strong feet that followed after. But with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, they beat, and a voice beat more instant than the feet. All things betray thee. Who betrayest me? Naked I wait thy love's uplifted stroke. My harness piece by piece thou hast hewn from me and smitten me to my knee. I am defenseless, utterly. I slept, methinks, and woke, and slowly gazing, find me stripped in sleep. In the rash, lusty head of my own powers, I shook the pillaring hours and pulled my life upon me. Grimed with smears, I stand amid the dust of the mounded years. My mangled youth lies dead beneath the heap. My days have crackled and gone up in smoke, have puffed and burst as sun starts on a stream. And then from Job till I die, I will not put away mine integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast and will not let go. My heart shall not reproach me as long as I live. I was a father to the needy, and the cause of him I knew not, I searched out. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy till I die. I will not put mine integrity away from me. Every person has two views of himself, at least two views. There is a self-image, and this self-image is made up of several things. Sometimes it is what I think other people think of me. Sometimes it is what I want other people to think of me. Sometimes it is what I think I ought to think of me. And sometimes it is what I think of me. One of these, two of these, three of these, several thrown into a kind of creative wholeness. This is the self-image. And I carry it around with me. I can't locate its origin altogether at this point or that point, but I know that it is very real to me, and it is a part of what I call myself. Now, there is still another dimension of this, and that has to do with the facts concerning me. It has to do with what in the light of my things, the raw materials of my experience of me, my awareness of my fact, of the details of my fact, my consciousness of that which is literally true of me, literally factual. And very often there's a gulf, a hiatus between this image and this body of fact. Now, it seems to me that integrity is the experience that a person has when the image and the fact flow together as one creative synthesis and wholeness inside the man. When I am unanimous with reference to the view and the clue, the view being the image and the clue being the stuff of every day that I know the details about what I am and what I do. Now the quest for integrity is the quest on the part of the human spirit to arrive at the kind of inner unanimity that enables the human spirit to take a stand, which is as complete and as whole within as it is substantial and positive in its outward manifestation. Now, one of the forms that this takes then is the necessity for trying to find some something outside of yourself that is capable of making possible your response to it in terms of wholeness and inner unity, something that calls you to an inner, total, integrated, whole registration. And one of the obvious places we would expect to find that is in our dealing with the world of nature all around us. I remember the sensations that I had as I sat in front of my television watching the Colonel in his thing, and I felt suddenly so lonely. I felt. And I felt so sorry for man in this vastness. And I said, now there Uranus and Neptune and Mars and all those other nameless ones, they don't know anything about Glenn. They don't know anything about this little something that he is in. It is, and if somehow the planets could have shouted at him, if somehow all of that vastness of space would have organized itself and asserted itself so that Glenn in his little shell could stand up against it. But they went on about their business. Now, I sometimes feel this way about the circumstances of life. We are trying to find, you see, the thing that we can, how to say this? We are trying to find the thing that we can put ourselves against, which in the way that it pushes back, it pulls us into wholeness. This is what I'm trying to say. And circumstances do that for us sometimes. We think, we animate them, suffering does it. And if you could ever decide, you see, that the suffering is really after you, if you can decide that the suffering is really on your trail, searching you out, hounding you, then this is something that you can turn around and face and feel yourself integrating and coming into a sense of utter wholeness within, to stand against this thing that is opposing you, not opposing life, but opposing you. Let me read you something that expresses what I'm talking about. In the poem Henley, there is this conversation that he has with circumstances, and he decides the circumstances are really after him. And if he can feel that way, then he can say that in the fell clutch of circumstance I've neither winced nor cried aloud, midst the bludgeonings of chance. My head is bloody but unbowed. It matters not how straight the gate, how charges punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. And circumstances can't hear him. Now, this is the truer view of it, as someone has expressed it. I often groan and yelp aloud, ducking the wallopings of chance. My bloody head is often bowed in the fell clutch of circumstance. I have, as far as I can see, a very conquerable soul. Out of the night that covers me, I howl with grievous mien and dole. I'm full of apprehensive fears. I'm nervous, lame, and short of breath. The looming menace of the years has got me frightened half to death. The man who rises up to state in words of hot poetic fire that he is master of his fate is nothing but a simple liar. No man is captain of his soul, as all men know who strive and suffer, and Mr. Henley, on the whole, was just a brave, pathetic bluffer. Now, but you see, this is a part of the great tragedy of man, you see. If I felt that in the estimate of the universe, I rated its private violence, then this would provide for me a basis for answering the searching question of integrity. What is it, after all, that I ultimately amount to? And this is an answer that I must find. And I do it sometimes by pointing to the things that I create. I remember 25 years ago, I was talking with the president of my college in Atlanta, and as we walked across the campus, he stopped and looked out on the campus, and then he shook his head and walked on, and then I joined him. And I said, Mr. Hope, I don't understand what happened to you. He said, I was just looking at all the buildings that have been put on this campus since I became president. And I was tempted to feel that this is the measure of my self-estimate. And I know that isn't true. What we do is the clue sometimes. If I can register myself in a deed so that to all comers and all generations it can be said, I did it. Just little me did it. But of course, I didn't. Because there's so many other people who enter into anything that you do. Some nameless, some named. There's so much luck, just plain luck, in the events that result in the deed that you are able to create, things that are almost accidental, and we have no way by which we can assess the meaning and the relevancy of those things that are incidental, that move into the rhythm of our function without regard to anything that we ourselves do. I want to find some radical test for my life. This is the clue, my clue. to my own integrity. If I can do this, if I can stand up and cast my vote and not be dogged by any minority opinion within me. And this, after all, as it would seem, that this is what religion is insisting upon, isn't it? For it says, you see, that there is a radical test for man, that sooner or later, somewhere in the course of a man's pilgrimage, he has to turn and face what for him in that moment is the ultimate judgment. What for him in that moment is God. For it is only in the presence of an absolute judgment that I can define my meaning and know that even when I have been as completely and utterly of one in me, I have not met the demand. Oh, to have available that against which a man can throw all that he is, all that he thinks and feels, all that he can be, to throw it against it. And not satisfied. And again a man goes back, reassessing this little thing and that little thing, combing out this flaw and that flaw, trying to awaken this dimension of sensitiveness or that dimension of sensitiveness, always trying to see if through all the corridors of his being, through all the manifestations of his life, through all the words that he uses, all the things that he does and the things that he says, through all of this there will be moving always the same unanimous voting. Till I die, I will not put my integrity away from me. And even though living 1,000 years and 1,000 years of failure and inadequacy and limitation, I will say, with Job, that always in me I know I'm looking for the unanimous vote. And I shall be able to cast it, if not before I die, then out in the vast regions beyond the time-space limitations by which my life and its meaning are defined. I must cast my whole vote. Somewhere, sometime, somewhen. There is the same story, our Father. The same broken lances, O God, thou wilt not despise, but will redeem.